Hi, Dr. Chaffee. Could you speak about meat being acidic? Dr. James Nicolantonio did a video the other day stating that we need to be supplementing potassium and sodium bicarbonate with a meat-heavy diet. I'm confused. Thanks. Well, I haven't seen his video on that, so I can't really comment. But no, no. This is so funny to me. You know, people saying, "Oh, it's acidic," and you have to. What's acidic about meat? You know, does it burn your mouth when you eat it? No. So it goes in your body and produces this acid. Okay, where, why, and how, and what does that do? Is it going to change your pH in your blood? Not likely, because if your blood pH goes out of a very narrow range of 7.35 to 7.45, you die. Right? So you get very sick first and then you die if that doesn't correct. So no, meat does not cause any of this sort of nonsense. It's not acidic. It's not going to burn your mouth. It's not going to burn your stomach. It's not going to lower your blood pH. I have not taken sodium or potassium. I don't even use salt anymore. And I only eat meat. And I certainly don't take sodium bicarb. And I'm still here, you know, and my blood pH is still normal. You know how I know? Because I am still here and I'm not dead. And you do die if your blood pH goes just a 7.3. That doesn't change, you're dead. So no, I don't believe that for 1 second. I don't know what he was discussing on that or the context of that, so I don't know. But the whole idea of it being acidic, and then it was like, we were always just eat plants instead. There's actual acid in plants, citric acid. Why have vegans never heard of this thing? You know, ascorbic acid, all these sorts of things. These are acids. They're actual acids, and you know, and then you eat carbohydrates, and that actually increases the acid production in your stomach. Oh, that's good. So now it's too acidic and you get reflux and gastritis and all these sorts of things. So no, the problem comes when you eat things besides meat. That's a problem. We've been eating meat as a species since we've been a species the whole time, and didn't have a whole bunch of sodium bicarb available. Didn't have a GNC to go pop down, and you know, Methuselah wasn't going down to, you know, the local supplement market and the nutrients, you know, mart to get this sort of crap. You know, they just ate food. You know, lions don't need it either. Oh my God, it's so acidic, and that's why 70% of all animal species on Earth are carnivores. Oh, good thing for sodium bicarb. Good thing that lions go down to the, you know, the lion supplement store and get their sodium bicarb and potassium. No, I don't think for a second that any of that is true. We have examples right now of people living in the Arctic Circle who have no access to plants and certainly no access to supplements, and they exclusively eat meat or near exclusively eat meat, and certainly exclusively ate meat historically, like the Inuit and Nanette and others. Still alive and kicking, and no supplements, and all of our ancestors going through the ice ages. What are you eating in the Arctic Circle during an ice age besides meat? What is there to eat? You know, for the people to say no, everyone was running away towards the equator. That's where all the fruit and berries were. Nonsense. The fossil record is very clear that we went up into the ice. When the ice shelves were coming down, we were going up. Homo habilis did that 2 million years ago, 2+ million years ago. And there are a lot of other examples of humans in the Arctic Circle during the ice ages, going back quite a far way. So I just reading articles that humans were in the Arctic Circle a lot earlier than people thought. Previously, we're finding more and more records of chopped up, butchered mammoth bones that were clearly eaten by humans, because they were using stone tools and things like that to cut them up and eat them. So, you know, no, I don't think for a second that meat is doing anything untoward in our body, and certainly not making us acidic. There are no acids to speak, or meat is not acidic, I should say. And and it's not going to make your body more acidic than it's supposed to be. It's our physiological diet. That's what we're supposed to eat. So again, can't speak to what James said. I have no idea what he said. So could very well have been a nuanced discussion that means something else. But no, you're not going to get hurt eating meat, and you don't need supplements besides just the nutrients that you are already deficient in leading into this. Like if your B12 is at 200, you should get a shot. You should take supplements. That is critically low. And, eventually you'll catch up just eating meat. Some people have absorption issues. Some people have damaged themselves with autoimmunity and won't get all this stuff in. And so that's the only thing you need to supplement with. And generally you just get that from a bit of liver to catch you up, and then you just maintain. After several years on carnivore diet, I checked my blood, and all my vitamin and mineral levels were all ideal, and I was never eating liver or anything like that. I mean, a couple times, some people, may need a bit more because they're not going to process this as well. They're not going to absorb it as well. So liver's a great idea, but in an appropriate amount. And especially when you're starting out, you're going to be deficient. You just are. And so, you want to catch up with either supplements or nature supplements, which is, organs. And I don't think you need to take the desiccated stuff. I'm certainly not advocating for those. You just eat organs, because they're a hell of a lot cheaper. You have a whole bottle of desiccated liver, and it's like $60, and it's a piece of liver that big, in all those pills. So it's just like, just eat liver. It's good for you. And, it's a lot cheaper to do it that way. It doesn't taste that bad. Stop being a baby. Just do it. Hey everyone, really happy to announce a new sponsor for the show and for everybody down in Australia, Stockman Steaks, who are delivering high quality grass-fed and finished pasture-raised beef and other meats, flash frozen and vacuum sealed to your door, something that I've been enjoying a lot of myself recently as well. They also have a great range of specialty items such as high-fat keto mince and carnivore beef and organs mince with liver, kidneys, and beef heart as well. So use code Chaffee today for a free order of beef mince or another specialty gift along with your order at stockmansteaks.com.au, and I'll see you over there. Thanks, guys. TH had a question. Mom is trying to come off insulin gradually, basically keto, working out, almost 75. Sugars dropped to 67 last night. What should she do when that happens? Well, she needs to work with her diabetic nurse. She needs to work with her diabetic care team. And so that's really important. And so she needs to be able to modulate her sugars in a way that, that she, if her sugars are that low, insulin can come down, because she's making her own blood sugar now. And now it's just a matter of having enough insulin to get it in her body with insulin resistance. It sounds like, and so as it sounds like it's a type 2 situation, diabetes type 2 as opposed to type 1. So, 67 isn't all that low. That's not like a critical emergency. If she has ketones, you can always get it like a little ketone monitor thing. She has ketones, her brain's running on ketones, so 67 is okay as long as she's feeling okay. You don't need to do anything. If she actually does take too much insulin and she is feeling off, drink some milk, drink some whole milk. There's carbs in there. That's probably better than whatever, but any port in a storm, if you don't have access to that, and she's actually sick from having taken too much insulin, then whatever you got to do for that instance. And then you get back on track. But she needs to work with her doctor and her diabetes nurse and their team in order to reduce this down. Just say, hey, I've changed my diet, I've cleaned it up, and I don't need as much insulin, and my insulin levels are dropping lower. And they go, okay, well, this is what you do in those circumstances. So basically, you're just weaning yourself off, and so you keep your blood sugar in a normal range, and an actual normal range, because some studies say like, oh no, you don't want diabetics to actually have good blood sugar control because that could be dangerous for them. That comes from a study that used aggressive insulin therapy to lower HbA1c and blood sugar and keep it under control all the time. But people were just eating anything. They were like, yeah, eat whatever you want, but just take a buttload of insulin to make sure that keeps it down. And she was giving these people massive quantities of insulin, and people were dying. The people that had better blood sugar control actually were dying and getting sick. And so that's not because their blood sugar was under control. That was because they were getting way too much insulin, and that's damaging their body. So aim for a good optimal blood sugar range and just adjust insulin into that regard with the care of her team, because I can't stress that enough. She needs to do this under doctor supervision. She's on medication that, if taken inappropriately, can cause harm, even coma and death in extreme circumstances. So this is something that has to be done under medical supervision. So definitely talk to her team about that. Coley D, thank you for the super chat. You say HGH is released when we sleep and insulin spike reduces this. Will a glass of milk before bed cause enough of a spike to be a problem? 21 grams of carbs total. Yeah, it's not going to help. And so, some people do take a bit of carbs in from milk or elsewhere. I would prefer milk myself to help sleep. I sleep great. I've never slept better in my life than when I've done this, especially with like a sleep mask that I wear now. My God, it's just amazing difference. And actually the blue blocking glasses, those actually make a big difference too. And, but some people do say that they feel better with carbs. And then I talk to other people that say that they need a bit of carbs to go to sleep. And then they abstain and they get away from it. And after a while, they actually end up sleeping fine. So it could be a transition period that you can go through and feel better. But it's not gonna do as much as if you had like a whole plate of pasta and a bunch of bread. But it will raise your insulin a bit, and it will reduce the efficacy of growth hormone, because it blocks the action of growth hormone. So it's not as active. It's not as useful. It's not going to stimulate as much IGF-1, and that's not going to let it do its job either. So, there you go. If you absolutely have to get some milk and a bit of carbs to go to sleep, fine. But I have seen people that eventually they get away from that, and as long as they just don't take any for a while, after a week or two, they're able to go to sleep pretty normally. So that would be ideal. If not, then it's still a lot better than what most people are doing, and a lot better than what you've probably done before. And so you'll still be in a good shape, in a lot of ways. So yeah, you go. But I don't do that anyway. And that's one of many reasons. I mean, insulin affects over 100 different things, including your growth hormone, but over 100 other things too. And so when that insulin goes up, it's affecting all those things at an elevated level, and it's out of balance, and it's not necessarily what you want. So I would just keep that in mind. Hey guys, just want to take a second to thank our sponsor at Carnivore Bar. I don't promote many products because honestly, all you need to be healthy is to just eat meat. For those times that you're out hiking, road tripping, or stuck at work and you want a nutritious snack that is just meat, fat, and salt if you want it, the Carnivore Bar is a great option. So I like this product not because it's just pure meat, but also because I want the carnivore market to thrive as well. And the more we support meat-only products, the more meat-only products there will be available in the mainstream. So if this sounds like something you'd like to get behind, check it out using my discount code Anthony to get 10% off, which also applies to subscriptions, giving you 25% off total. All right, thanks guys. Should I do a 7-day fast for weight loss? I gained a ton on carnivore because I let myself go crazy. I don't do any artificial sweeteners or coffee. Well, I don't know what you mean by going crazy on carnivore, because you should just be eating meat as your body dictates. And so, I don't know what you mean by that, but I would just eat meat. If you do a 7-day fast, I don't recommend fasting for people. The main benefit you get from fasting is just not eating the wrong things, and you're not eating the wrong things on carnivore, and so you're going to let your body heal. But if you fast especially for significant periods of time, you're going to actually suppress your metabolism. You're telling your body you're in a famine, and you're just like, nope, we've got to survive this famine, and so it's going to actually lower your metabolism. So you'll lose a bit of weight. You will lose weight at first, and then you'll gain it back when you start eating again, and you'll yo-yo diet, right? So what we don't want to suppress your metabolism. We want to encourage your metabolism by eating proper food and eating a proper amount. And so you let your body tell you, and then you're showing your body, hey, look, we're not in a famine. We have an abundance of energy. We have everything available, and it can take time. You can check again. You can check your fasting insulin, and your leptin, and other sorts of markers, like I discussed earlier, and see where you're at. But eventually, your body will heal and will get better, and you'll lose weight. And again, look at Kelly Hogan and her videos on that, because she addresses that directly. Most people do lose weight straight away. Some people don't, and there's a reason for that, but eventually they do. You just need to give it time. I really only recommend fasting or even discuss fasting at all in the context of cancer, and that can be a useful tool. But people like Sophia Clemens from Paleo Medicina, she likes doing basically a calorie restricted lion diet with organs, or carnivore diet with organs. It's very strict carnivore diet with organs. And then you just limit the amount that you're bringing in every day, but she doesn't fast. She doesn't want people fasting. So, I don't think it's necessary, certainly for just everyday people. If you're going to use it for like medical interventions like cancer, that's one thing. But everyone else, I think you just eat meat. I think you just listen to your body and eat that, and just let your body get on with it. It's a bit scary when you're putting on weight and everyone else isn't. But as long as you are just eating fatty meat and you're eating until it stops tasting good, and you're not on medications that are going to make you overeat, like prednisone, hydrocortisone, those sorts of things, then you just let your body get on with it, and it'll sort itself out. And watch Kelly Hogan for more information on that, and some encouragement, because it is a thing, and you will get through it. So good luck with that. Ellie, thank you for the super chat. How should know if actually hungry or just want to eat? Yeah, good question. If some people just get bored and they're just used to snacking and just like, oh well, I'm watching TV. Obviously, I need to eat something. If you try to eat meat and it doesn't really taste good, you're not hungry. So if you're feeling snacky or something like that, try eating meat. If it tastes good, okay, you're hungry. You just keep eating until it stops tasting good. If it's sort of during the day and you don't want to be lethargic for the rest of the day, then you just want to eat like sort of a half meal and not so much that you get tired. But if it's later in the day and you don't have to work out or finish working for the day, then just eat until it stops tasting good. And if you are just sort of like, oh, maybe I should eat, and you start eating something, you're like, I'm not really enjoying the meat, then you're not hungry. Drink some water, fill up your stomach. Sometimes your stomach's empty, and people are they're used to like, oh, my stomach's empty, so that means I have to eat. My stomach has to be constantly full. It doesn't actually. And so just go on that, and that's how you tell if you're sort of bored or hungry. Well, no, you need microbes. We're half microbe. They have a lot of oral and gut microbes that are actually important to have. And then you're taking in garlic, and that's killing them. That's actually causing harm. So I would just eat fatty meat until it stops tasting good.